Horizon Forbidden West has just launched, so let's check how well this game runs on a 4060 Ti graphics card. This is an 8GB version, MSI Gaming X Trio. I'm using my Be Quiet PC build. It has an i5 14400 CPU, and as for the rest of the specifications, they will be up on the screen now, so check them out if you're interested. Just press pause. But most importantly, check this out. This is just a little spoiler, kind of. This is 4K resolution. Yeah, this game is running at 4K right now on a 4060 Ti 8GB. And it is pretty good. Check it out. Smooth, right? Yeah, and that actually reminds me that I'll be testing this game today on the MSI G321CU 4K 144Hz monitor. I'm using the AverMedia Live Gamer Ultra 2.1 4K capture card to record the gameplay, to make sure that there is no performance loss. Do you need a new Windows license key like I do right here with my new PC build? Then I have a great solution for you. Over the last 3 years, I've saved a lot of money by buying my Windows keys from cdkeyoffer.com. Allow me to demonstrate. I will be going for Windows 11 Pro. So just click on Buy Now. Then use my discount code IVADIM. Hit Apply. And that brings the price down to $22. After that, you just submit the order and select the payment method you wish to use. I will be going with the safe and fast PayPal payment, so you just press Pay Now. Once you're done with your payment, you will be redirected back to CDK Offer, and that's your order complete. Now you can go to User Center. Actually, it will redirect you there, where you can just grab your key by pressing View Key Code, Get Key, and then copy it. Then you can use your search bar to quickly bring up activation settings, change key, insert that key, hit next, activate, wait a few seconds, and there you go. Now you have your Windows activated and ready to use for a fraction of the cost that you would normally pay. Get yours now at the link in the description below. And by the way, you may have noticed that they also have other Microsoft software, including Office 2019 and Office 2016. Don't forget to use my discount code if you want to grab any of those. Let's start our testing at 1080p resolution. And we will start with DLAA, no frame generation, no upscaling. Preset is set to very high. It says custom only because I've disabled depth of field. And all the other nasty things, as well as motion blur. Also, I've increased field of view to the maximum. Well, initial performance looks pretty good. It stays above 60 FPS, although I do not like how that frame time graph looks. Yeah. The image is just a tiny bit choppy. Let's see if using DLAA actually increases our performance. Right now, the FPS is at 68, 69. Nice. Well, let's change that AA. DLAA on. And the FPS improved by 2 FPS. However, it's difficult to judge without pixel peeping and comparing these two side by side, but DLAA appears to be looking okay. That waterfall in the distance looks fine, not perfect, but fine. Let's enable DLAA once more. Yeah, it's really difficult to say which one is better. Kind of like DLAA more. I don't know what it is. It's just that... Hold on, let me just check. I think it's a bit softer. With DLAA, everything looks very nice. And if we enable TAA... Can't quite put my finger on it, but something appears to be like a little bit off. Maybe it's the sharpness, but yeah, I definitely prefer how DLAA looks. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Which one is better? Let's roll with DLAA for now. I'll try to keep it spoiler-free. This is the very beginning of the game, so there shouldn't be any spoilers here anyway. This game is beautiful. I've seen it on PS5 a long while ago when it first launched, and I was impressed. And seeing it on PC looks perfect. Although 1080p resolution is not doing it justice, but we'll check other resolutions as well. Hopefully the 4060 Ti will be able to handle 1440p at least. But, you know, seeing just above 60 FPS 1080p doesn't give me much hope for 1440p, let alone 4K resolution. So let's have a look what this world has to offer. Examine Blight. What's happening here? Oh, she's coughing. Stinks.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. This is the bad stuff.
Those ruins. That's where we need to go.
Oh, look at that. We are barely hanging on to 60 plus FPS experience. 60. But this is on very high preset. I wonder, if we want a better experience, if you want to have a, let's say, 144 Hz experience. I don't think we can achieve that, but let's see if we just lower the graphics preset just to high, for example. What will happen?
Might want to grab more of these plants along the way.
Yeah, good idea.
Surprisingly, it appears that enabling high preset is actually not doing much for us in terms of performance improvements. Still something like, well, over here it's 70 plus, but let's go back to that spot.
Those ruins.
Yeah.
That's where we need to go.
Weird. We've only received something like a couple of FPS more,
I see a few ways down.
but
What are we after exactly?
so strange. Alright, since we're not getting much FPS improvement, let's just stick with testing very high preset. It is strange.
You're, traveling light these days.
Now that we came back here for the second time
Some trouble on the way here.
with the very high preset, the FPS seems to be lower, much lower. It's like 50 plus now. While the first time it was close to 60, and then we changed to high, it became something like 63, 65. But now, it's very strange. Very strange behavior. So I guess we'll have to do something about this, because we can't have that. 4060 Ti 1080p and no 60 plus FPS experience? Yeah. We need frame generation. And let's use DLAA. Okay, the gameplay is much smoother now. And take a look at that frame time graph. It is flatter, and it really shows in the experience. The movement is still fine, so there's not much latency added when you use frame generation. At least not when we enable it with the base FPS of 50 plus. It works fine. If you were to, enable it, if you had like 30 FPS, 20 FPS, and then try and achieve a higher frame rate with frame generation, then yeah, you would run into problems. But as long as you have something like 50, 60 FPS and you want just a smoother experience, then frame generation is a really good option. I'm not spotting any major game-breaking artifacts introduced by frame generation just yet. But let's see.
Find anything good?
A few supplies.
Why are you asking? Oh my god. What have I done? I think I took a shortcut. Yeah. Let's disable frame generation just for a moment to check if we are going to get a better image quality. Okay, something happened. 30 FPS. What the hell? And in terms of image quality, it's about the same. But what's up with this FPS? Let's turn frame generation back on. I wasn't paying attention. Did the FPS drop so much when I jumped into the water? Oh. She hurt. Hold on. Let me just heal you real quick. The performance right now is absolutely unacceptable. Okay, I've reached a checkpoint. Let's just reload the game real quick and see if that will fix the FPS, because right now with frame generation 60 FPS, that is unacceptable. Alright, I've just reloaded the game and check this out. We are back to 60 plus FPS in this area, in the same area where we've just seen 30 plus FPS, and I haven't changed anything. DLAA is on and the preset is the same, very high. So this is a very strange behavior from the game. I think something may be broken, and yeah, hopefully they'll fix it with future patches. Let's enable frame generation. Let's turn it back on. Oh, look at that. Close to 120 FPS. Yeah, this is quite good. This experience right here is the way to go. Without frame generation, this game doesn't feel as smooth. Well, that is if you have a monitor that supports refresh rates higher than 60 Hz. I'm on a 144 Hz monitor right now. Have a look at that moss. This looks so cool. Just in case if you're wondering, what will happen if we enable DLSS? So DLSS quality without frame generation for now. Okay, so at 1080p resolution, DLSS quality doesn't look as good as native. If you have a look at this moss, there's a lot of detail lost in this moss compared to native. But other things, they look more or less okay. Let's see what will happen if we enable frame generation, because maybe we can get to that 120 plus FPS experience. Frame generation on, let's go. We're definitely getting closer to that 120 FPS experience, but yeah, it's not gonna be there.
Even if you lock the FPS, as you can see, sometimes you get dips below 120. And I can't say that I like how we lost so much detail, like these small details in the moss or other foliage. Everything is affected by enabling DLSS quality mode. Ooh, and there's also some strange halo effect around the crosshair. Check it out. Yeah, definitely I do not recommend using DLSS at 1080p resolution. If you don't have any other choice with your graphics card, then it is okay, I guess. You be the judge of that, but with the 4060 Ti, I do not recommend it. Let's stick to DLAA and frame generation on. I think that this is the best option. Check it out. We're getting above 100 FPS. And yeah, so basically at this point I would just cap my frame rate at 90 FPS and just enjoy the smoothest gameplay possible. Because, you know, capping your frame rate is always better than letting it hang around, just do its own thing, going from 100 to 120 to 90. It feels much smoother if you just cap it. Now let's see how this game behaves at 1440p using the 4060 Ti graphics card. I must remind you that this is an 8GB version, so we'll check if the VRAM will be maxed out or not. But as you can see right now, we are at 1440p, DLAA, frame generation off for now. And I chose to go with high preset just to begin with. We'll have a look at very high preset a little bit later on, but I'll just disable this depth of field to get a clearer picture. And have a look at this. This is actually quite acceptable, in my opinion, 50 plus FPS. It's not the perfect experience, but you know, at 1440p with an 8GB card. And check it out, we are currently using just 6GB of memory. It is about the same kind of performance we were getting on a very high preset at 1080p. However, I must say that the image quality is much better at 1440p on high than at 1080p on very high preset. The experience is much nicer. Just take a look at that detail. That moss right there is even more detailed. And you know what? The beauty of running a higher resolution is that you can use DLSS on quality mode at 1440p, and normally it would work great, in contrast to 1080p quality mode with DLSS. Yeah, that did not look good. Let's check if it will work great with 1440p resolution. DLSS set to quality. Let's go. Ah, yes. Still looks fine to my eye. Obviously not as good as native, but you know what? I'm not even mad. Look at that FPS. We're getting 60 plus consistently. Yeah, I think it is well worth it. I'm not spotting any other visual artifacts just yet. When we run around, roll, the world appears to be fine. It looks good. With DLSS, some earlier versions at least, we used to have a lot of problems. I still remember that problem with Horsehair in Red Dead Redemption 2 having a lot of artifacts, but check it out. Aloy's hair is just swinging around and it is absolutely fine. And this guy? Oh, look at that fur. Yeah. This is definitely the way to go if you don't want to use frame generation. This experience is more than good enough, I would say. Let's see how frame generation will change things. Okay, not by much, I would say. I was expecting something like 100 FPS. The same kind of performance we got at 1080p when we enabled frame generation. But I don't know, maybe it's that bug again. Remember when we were trying to figure out why we were getting 30 FPS at 1080p? Yeah. Let's see, let me just reload real quick and see if that will help. Nope, it appears that that is the performance we're getting. No problems there. I've just reloaded the game, so it's nice and fresh, and we're still getting something like 90 plus FPS, well, close to 90. This game looks insane. Just take a look at this beauty. Yeah, this feels pretty good. Frame generation, DLSS on quality mode, high graphics preset. With these graphics settings, I think you can still lock your FPS at 90 and be, well, more or less okay. But, it's probably not gonna be perfect because from time to time it will drop below 90, so maybe 60 will be the best option. Just lock your FPS at 60. And with that said, let's try and target 60 plus FPS experience next. We can increase the graphics to very high. And let's keep frame generation and DLSS on for now. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. We're still getting over 60 FPS in this scenario. This is actually pretty good. So you can enable very high preset and have the maximum graphics quality and still have 60 plus FPS experience. This could be the way to go. Lock your FPS at 60 and enjoy the game in all of its glory at 1440p. But for that, do we need frame generation? Do we need DLSS? Let's check. Let's disable frame generation for now and see how that will affect the FPS. Frame generation off. And something appears to be broken again, so I'll have to reload the game. And see, the FPS is back to normal. So, if you are going to take away anything from this video, is that if you buy this game and you experiment with various graphics settings, make sure that you quit the game and load back in to make sure that those graphics settings actually applied and there is nothing bugging out. Because check it out, previously we've had 30 plus FPS, now we are at 60 plus, closer to 70. And it's the same preset, same graphics preset. We are on DLSS quality for now, no frame generation. And yeah, you can still lock your FPS at 60 and have a great experience even without frame generation enabled. Oh. 50 plus, 30 plus. Maybe, yeah, maybe something is wrong. Maybe there's just shaders are loading in. Not quite sure what's going on here. But this appears to be a very intensive scene. Check it out, there's so much foliage. So many plants. I wonder what kind of performance will we get at native resolution. So let's disable DLSS, keep DLAA enabled. You know, I would play this game with DLSS enabled because this is not the way to go. And finally, let's have a look if we can have a good time in this game with the 4060 Ti 8GB card at 4K resolution. DLAA is on, frame generation off, DLSS off. And I've set the graphics preset to medium. We'll have a look at high in just a moment, but let's start with this first. And take a look at that. I'm on a 4K monitor right now. And this game looks stunning. It did look good at 1440p, but at 4K it just looks so good. Very nice and crisp. Have a look at this. We're getting close to 40 FPS, so this is less than ideal, I would say. Not very good. but don't forget that we are on a 4060 Ti at 4K resolution. And surprisingly, video memory is at 6.7 gigabytes. So, strange. It's getting closer to 7 in this area here. I'm pretty sure that we'll get other areas where it will require more, but we are on medium, so I'm guessing that we're going to run into limitations if we try and set the graphics preset to very high, or possibly even high, but we'll check that. First of all, I want to make sure that we can get to a playable experience using the medium graphics preset. So let's start by enabling DLSS, set it to quality mode. We can go lower than that if we need to. Okay, so this is better. Look at that. We're getting close to 50 FPS now. 52, 55. In this area right here. 50. We don't even need to enable lower quality of DLSS. This is fine. And the details look beautiful. Look at that moss. Oh my god. It is so good. So much detail. Much more detail than at 1080p. This is the benefit of running your games at higher resolutions. You just see so much more detail. But the downside is that you need a beefy graphics card to run this game at 4K. As you can see, even with the help of DLSS, 4060 Ti is not doing great. Let's try it with frame generation on. Surprisingly, frame generation didn't add that many frames. Interesting. And I did reload the game to make sure that everything turned on properly. This is strange. We're still getting something like 50 plus FPS. Wait, what? This is the performance we had with DLSS quality enabled. What's going on? Did it even work? Hold on. Let me just real quick. Let's keep it that way. So we're getting, what, 58, 56, 57 over here. Looking that way. And looking this way, 55, 57, 58, 56. Okay. Let's now disable frame generation. Alright. So, as you can see, frame generation didn't add that many fake frames. So it was like, what? 5 FPS more than this? So yeah. Frame generation is not generating that many frames in this particular scenario. Let's try something else. Let's set DLSS to balanced and see if that will help. I really want to see that 60 plus FPS experience. And right now we are getting the same kind of FPS when we had DLSS set to quality and frame generation enabled. So we're getting there, slowly but surely, but this is not what we're looking for. And let's see, in terms of visual quality, yeah, it still looks fine. Right, okay. Let's try and enable frame generation now, because maybe we can get to 60 FPS. I hope so. And we finally see that 60 FPS, that sweet, sweet 60 FPS. Oh, 56 just now. but that was just a small performance dip.
Don't think there's a way through.
You don't think so? Yeah, I don't see it either. No way through. Okay, so yeah, if you are for some reason looking to play this game at 4K resolution with a 4060 Ti 8GB model, it is doable. This is the settings that I would suggest using if you are looking to game at 4K. DLSS set to balanced, frame generation enabled, graphics set to medium preset. Obviously you can tweak some of these. Actually, you know what? Textures usually do not consume that much performance, so we can just crank this up. Yeah, it appears not. Cranking up the textures does not give us a good experience, because have a look at that. The FPS dropped. We're now at 50 plus, close to 50 FPS experience. In comparison, everything looked pretty good on medium, and we had a solid 60 FPS experience. So I think that we should stick with medium textures, well, basically medium quality preset. So let's go back to medium. Alright, let's try combat, and we'll see if we can maintain that 60 FPS experience. Can we kill this thing without it noticing us? That's its weak spot. Boom. Done. Okay, so that felt good. The performance feels good.
Another one's coming.
Oh, where is it? Oh, no, 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 you don't. Look at the texture on this thing. Even though we are on medium quality preset, everything still looks pretty good in this game. Obviously the game looks better on a very high preset, but you know what? I am quite enjoying it on medium as well. And in terms of latency that you might think frame generation introduces, it is actually okay in this game at least. The aiming is pretty responsive. I don't have a problem tracking targets. Well, maybe just a little bit, but it feels a bit janky, you know, the aiming process in this game. Maybe there's some mouse acceleration happening, I'm not sure. But when you move to one direction, it is pretty easy to track your targets. So, what do I think about the performance of the 4060 Ti 8GB version in this particular game? Well, at 1080p it was kind of underwhelming because I honestly expected a bit more, but the experience was still great because the FPS was above 60 FPS, even on very high graphics preset without DLSS, without frame generation. However, 1080p experience is not the best on this graphics card in my opinion. You're much better off going for 1440p resolution, of course that is if your monitor does support it, because the performance is still great and the image quality is much better than at 1080p. Although you will have to use DLSS to achieve a smooth experience. And even though I would not consider the 4060 Ti a 4K gaming card, it still did fairly well at 4K resolution, because check it out, even right now, we're on balanced DLSS quality, frame generation enabled, medium graphics preset, the game looks great, well, most of it, because there are still some nasty textures like this one here, but for the most part, the game still looks great, and it performs well enough to enjoy it. If you're interested in buying the 4060 Ti, the link will be in the description below. Also, for this particular PC build, I'll have all the parts listed below in the description as well, with the links. Check them out. I think it is a pretty good combo. Although I would go for a 16GB version of the 4060 Ti, especially if you're going to play your games at 1440p. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.